New Year's resolutions. What do they really mean? Most people say they're going to do it, but they don't hold true to the word. Well, I'm here today to remedy that and make it untrue because I am sticking to my resolution. NXT UK Reviews Weekly is what this show started as 3 years ago now, which is insane to think we've done this for 3 years, but we are doing it again, back to where it all started. We are back. NXT UK Weekly Review. Welcome back, Union Smack Podcast, the way it all began, the way it should be, quite frankly. I am back, Travis, from Hibiki TMD on YouTube and ProWrestlingJournal.com, with my co-host, the Maniac, Matt Tennant. First proper episode of 2020, besides the Takeover review. Matt, Welcome back. I'm excited to be doing this, how it all started once again. How are you? Where can everyone catch you?
I am very well. Can I just say, Travis, longest intro we've ever done, I think. So,
milestone episode, and it deserved it.
Oh, you can find me on Twitter @ThePerfectTenant. You can buy all our official merchandise from our online store, unionsmack.bigcartel.com, and you will very soon be able to purchase my second book, NXT UK Year 1. In the next few months when time and finances allow. Oh, God.
Yeah, we were having some laughs off air. We're trying to get our wits about us, so apologies if we sound like we were drunk or having a good time, but we are having a good time talking about Howard Finkel and the funny stuff in wrestling. It's good to be back. Again, I say ProWrestlingJournal.com. Yes, we are now the official podcast network of ProWrestlingJournal.com. Thank you to all of you guys over there, the fantastic writers, Drew Ortman specifically, for having us there. If you're listening to this there, catch us here, Hibiki TMD on YouTube. Hit that little red button right down below all the best retro gaming and pro wrestling. And follow me on Twitter @the Hibiki TMD. Episode 77 episodes at this point. It's just crazy how time flies, Matt. I literally remember recording episode 1 of this from way back when.
Yeah, and it was after so long of waiting, Travis. It's like we've been waiting a year and a half, if not a bit longer, and we were so, I remember that first NXT UK episode we reviewed. We were so excited to finally have a weekly UK show to review, and I feel like 77 episodes later, we're just like, trying to keep it going, trying to keep the enthusiasm level up.
We're at the point where we have to literally make New Year's resolutions to keep it weekly again.
Yeah. But yeah, we are back. 77, and we're going to try every week this year to get you a NXT UK review done. So fingers crossed that goes to plan. But obviously we've got backup plans, Travis, if it doesn't.
Yeah. And to be honest, if they keep giving us ones like this where they're 36 minutes long, hey, we'll knock those out. No problem, you know?
Yeah. It's when they start to drag and get...
Right.
You know what I mean? Talky. When they start to get talky, that's when we start to struggle to sit through them.
Matt can attest, too. It's been a case with me, especially with NXT UK's show. Before we talk about episode 77, because I'm salivating. It's like someone put a big steak in front of me, and I'm waiting to take that first bite, because I've been waiting to come back on one of these with you. You know, I've been like, yeah, I'm all caught up now, because for a while, flat out admitted, that's why I kind of felt it just got into that 205 Live territory for me, where I could literally feel like the company didn't give a shit. But lately, within the past 6 months especially, it's gotten more steam behind it. Even with the AEWs and all these upstart promotions, it's definitely not buzzworthy by any means, which is criminal, especially when you see shows like Takeover this week. But yeah, it's definitely piqued my interest again, and I'm so happy to be back doing it. And I feel like they're putting the right pieces together. But at the same time, we're not going to talk about spoilers, but this brand specifically has been the worst case of, as soon as I start feeling good about some where the booking directions are going, I hear spoiler results. I'm just like, what the fuck? It's all for naught, you know?
Yep. And obviously, like you said, no spoilers, but there's been a lot of that this past weekend, and yeah, a lot of things that we held out hopes for, I should say, just pissed up the wall.
Mm-hmm. So many times I feel like this brand has just hit the reset button on tapings. And more of the times than not, it's just for no reason. It just literally to give these guys something to do. But when you do that, it's got to have some sort of logic behind it.
Yeah, and there's not been a lot of logic in places, I will admit. So I'm a big advocate of NXT UK, as everyone who listens to this knows, but by no means do I ever hold them up there as perfect. Like, there's been a lot of mistakes, a lot of squandered talent, a lot of storylines that should have, gone 4 or 5 months and led into a takeover, but just ended in 3 or 4 weeks just to fill television time.
Yeah, exactly. Our last episode, our Takeover 2 review, it's so hard to listen to that. We just praise it up and down, and for good reason. We both gave it an A+, but when you get, I'm not counting this episode, but just certain episodes of this brand over the years, we're just kind of summing this all up, tying the bow on what it's been. Cheap plug your book and all that. It's really hard to believe it's the same brand some weeks,
Yeah, that is true. But I will say, excuse me, the voice is better, by the way, but the coffee's still there. What I was going to say is, like, the last, I'd say not the last 6 months, I'd say Cardiff onwards has been, what's the right word? I'm not going to say better, but let's say better on occasion. Let's say better on occasion, otherwise we're going to have a lot of dead air. It's been better more times than not. And obviously since, Shawn Michaels has took charge and Triple H has taken somewhat of a backseat, I've seen the episodes get better. I've seen them improve in the way that there's less interview time and more wrestling, in that people like Jordan Devlin have got a better rub, if you like.
Yeah.
Because, like before, if you go back to, the early days of NXT UK, it was, I remember writing in the book, some episodes were like 16 minutes of wrestling, and the other like 35 minutes were just inane interviews where, you could have done it in 2 or 3 minutes backstage, but grizzled young veterans in the ring talking for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of unneeded waffle, but it's got much better, Travis, in the last 3 or 4 months.
Is that a testament to Shawn Michaels?
Yeah. It's more wrestling. It's better quality wrestling, I think, as well. So we still get the squash matches, but I don't think they're as is the phrase I don't think they're as squashy valid. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're more competitive. Everything's more competitive and less naggy.
If squashy wasn't a word before, it sure as shit is going to be from now on. I'll tell you that.
We've invented a word. 2020. We've invented a word. Let's roll with it.
I know you've kind of picked up the mantle of news with Tenet Talks and all that, but I feel it's very apropos, especially since it happened today and the guy's been on such an upward with his career. Eddie Dennis re-injured today, this weekend, vacating actually before that, but vacating today, the title to Andrews, you said?
Yeah, he suffered a separated shoulder on, where are we now? Yeah, on Friday during the NXT UK tapings in a rematch against Trent Seven. And tonight at Progress Chapter 101, I believe, he had to relinquish the Progress Unified World Heavyweight Championship. And he relinquished it to Mark Andrews, who then lost it to Cara Noir. So,
that was fast.
Get well soon, Eddie.
Yeah, it's always a shame when you see a guy his character's been kind of in this transitional phase and he finally found something that's starting to work for him. Like, I didn't hate the Dragon of Wales kind of moniker he put on himself. Iffy on the mask, Gets up there with Mantar a little bit. I don't know. Other than that, man, he was getting his gear down to what that needed to look like. He was maturing more in the ring every year. He's just getting better and better and just derailed again, and you hate to see that,
Yeah, he just can't buy any luck right now. But you know what? Hopefully it's not so drastic of an injury that he's out for 4 or 5 months, and fingers crossed he'll be ready to go, or at least ready to delve into his next feud on the microphone by the time NXT UK reaches Coventry in March.
At least be smart enough to keep him on TV,
Yeah, don't take him away altogether.
Imagine where Steve Austin would have been in '97 if they had never bothered keeping him on TV while his neck was hurt for the fall. He would have never got the Vince Stunner and any of that.
Can you imagine what the worst place WWF television would have been without him?
God.
Not that we're comparing Eddie Dennis to Stone Cold
No.
Steve Austin now, but yeah,
Get well soon, Eddie
kick him
Dennis.
on.
Yeah, for sure. Here's something that'll cheer me right up from that kind of downer of a segment. Something I've wanted to say and missed saying for so long. NXT UK episode 77 kicked off from. This was taped before, obviously, the takeover last week. You were there. As much as you were all over the show at Takeover, like on camera, I didn't see you one time on this. So there you go, Matt. You got your wish.
Did you not? I saw me too many times on this.
I did. I looked for you too. Maybe I just was watching this late. I did not see you. I didn't. I'm like I knew where you were sitting, but for the camera to like pan on you this time, maybe I missed it. I was looking down at my phone or something. No Matt for me.
How can you not? Maybe it's just me, like knowing where I was, and I don't know, not in a vain way, actively looking for myself, but sort of knowing I'm there, thinking, oh yeah, that's what I was. But yeah, I think during the first match there was a dive to the outside, which we'll get into in a minute. Which I think it was the first one. It might have been the main event anyway. There was definitely a dive to the outside that was like right by me, and you can see me. if you go back and watch it, and obviously you looked back, you can see me holding up my phone to record the footage.
Well, there you go.
But there's just shots of me like with my phone in front of my eyes, so it's like just a black strip in front of my face. But on the plus side, Travis, we've got a lot of good footage, which you can all see coming up in the vlog this week, I hope. Hopefully
look for that soon on the channel. Cheap plug. This episode kicked off with a very nice little, what Takeover was last week. And I love the orchestrated music behind this too. Very intense and serious and epic feel. Because the show was epic. It made sense. It fit. Just a beautiful little package here.
Yeah, NXT UK have always, I think, done their video packages very well. I've heard from people like Jim Cornette that AEW do their video packages really, really tightly. But I think NXT UK's have been top notch for at least 6 or 7 months, if not longer.
NXT UK's has more of a world of sport kind of feel behind it, whereas AEW's is kind of just the cinematic feel. Both are good, they're just different styles.
Yeah, so NXT, I think they put an emphasis on the drama and the importance of what happened when they do a video package. Even if it's just like recapping, I don't know, last week's an attack on someone, to carry the storyline out. I think it's all done very well, and that's one of the major pluses for NXT UK for me, Travis. It's like the production values are always very, very good.
Yeah, hands down. They still do it the best out of anyone, I feel like. Now, this, like I said, this was shot before the show, quote, dark matches or whatever, but aired for this. Now, I was kind of paying attention to the crowd throughout, but especially for the first match where people literally just still filing in and finding their seats, or was pretty much everyone settled and good to go?
When A Kid came out, I think there were a few people just settling in. I know the guy next to me who bought my spare ticket literally just sat down and took his coat off when I think Joseph Connors came to the ring. Loud sigh from everyone. But yeah, I think we were pretty much good in the Empress Ballroom. That we'd all got in early. There were still people at the bar, obviously, but then the bar was 10 foot away from the barricade, back. So even if you were at the bar, you didn't miss anything.
That's so cool to me, by the way, that it's set up like that.
Yeah, it's a different venue, the Empress Ballroom, because when we went to Cardiff, the Motorpoint Arena, it's like the bar was outside of the actual arena space. It was in the back corridor, so you had to leave the inner arena to get to it.
Right.
So yeah, it was. It's convenient, the Empress Ballroom. It's like you can go to the bar and you don't miss anything. And
yeah, it feels like a Beyond Wrestling show, or like an old school, I don't know, like a world-class championship wrestling where the concession stand was right there and just get your beer there. It was just that old school feel.
Do you know what? You pay for a seat in the Empress Ballroom, but you don't actually have to sit in it. So it's like you pay for your ticket, but if you're sitting 10 rows back and you can't really see the action, you can go to the bar And by the end of the night, sort of by the time Walter and Joe Coffey came out, it was just like a row of people, just like a crowd of people just stood by the bar, because obviously when you're standing, you can see clearly to the ring over the rows of people. So people prefer to stand there
Right.
when watching wrestling in the Empress Ballroom than sitting in their seats if they're quite far back.
Right. Yeah. I could totally see that. This kicked off, though, the very first guys out for technically TakeOver Blackpool 2 was A-Kid and your favorite, everyone's favorite NXT UK performer. You already said his name, the Brian Kendrick of NXT UK, Joseph Connors, who now dresses just like Brian Kendrick, which is ironic because Brian Kendrick's coming up on NXT UK.
Yes, he is, yes. Twice, apparently.
Just the whole, I don't get the bright purple tights on Connors, just with this character. I don't know. Anyway.
I just don't get Connors, like, full stop. I know it's difficult because over here in the UK, Joseph Connors was sort of a big deal before the first UK tournament.
In Defiant, especially, he was like one of the top guys,
yeah.
right?
He was like, for a while, he was one of the top guys. He fought like people like Drew McIntyre, Kurt Angle. You know, he had matches against these big names. And then he got to WWE and it just didn't click. I'm not sure whether it was the fact that they didn't, see what a Defiant saw in him, or whether it was just the fact that he'd actually peaked beforehand. And the UK fans knew who he was, so he couldn't use that as an excuse, like, oh, new fan base. Because everyone who watches NXT sort of watched Defiant and Progress, and they know him of old. I think it's more of a fact that he's not changed. Like, he's in ring, and as much as they want to change his character on NXT UK, he's not really anything new. So I think he's already peaked 3 years ago, and that's why he's not connecting with the NXT UK crowd.
Or is it fair to say that some guys just don't make the translation well to WWE filmed matches and stuff, and just the setup?
I mean, it might be, but I would say Joseph Connors, he's not a hideously bad wrestler.
Great worker. I got to be honest, great worker. There's just something missing, like you said.
The ring psychology is very good. Like, transitions, great. He can carry a young talent to a decent match. It's just something that's not coming across for me, and it's been 3 years now, and they're still pushing him, Travis.
Well, let's be honest too. It's not all on him. It doesn't really help a guy if you strap him with Saxon Huxley for like a year and a half. That didn't do him any favors. So it's not all his fault because he's kind of been given dog shit to work with. But I feel like if you go back to the very first tournament, especially because of the books and stuff, even Michael Cole on commentary, they wanted to make such a big deal about this guy. They tried to, but it's just people. It's just, like you said, he's never evolved. We're in a style now, this British strong style. That's what people over there eat up. That's what they want to see. He's working more or less still like a 2011 UK style in the wrong era, maybe. I don't know what it is.
It feels like he's trying to uphold a certain style of wrestling that maybe doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah, and people just aren't having it.
Like, in the inaugural tournament, it's like he had a great match with Mark Andrews, which I think is still his best match in WWE today.
Right behind this one now. These two matches.
I'd say his match against Mark Andrews was better than the one with A-Kid, but obviously the triple threat match with Ligero and Travis Banks, I think was like where he shined most.
Yeah, I always forget about that one.
How can you forget about his best match? My God.
Because it's Joseph Connors, man. Yeah. That's why.
That's true. But I will say, 3 years later, it's like you've done everything you can to get him over. You've given him numerous gimmicks. He's had, obviously the team was Saxon Huxley, which didn't go anywhere, as we know. Then he had the gimmick of wanting to break all NXT UK's new toys.
Yeah.
And being sort of the stalwart who wanted to beat up and defeat the new guys, and now he's got this takeover worthy gimmick that he's had 3 sizable gimmicks so far in 3 years, and none of them have got over yet.
And it's like every time he tries to evolve his character in that sense, And I know I talk about aesthetic a lot, but I feel like aesthetic is very important in pro wrestling. I don't know what was up with the entrance, but he just looked like a complete fucking dork. I'm sorry. He doesn't look like a devious heel or a cool babyface. He just looked like a dork, and he's devolving his attire.
Yeah, it's in a way it's sad because I can see the effort Joseph Collins he has put in to making it work, but it's just not. And I can't. He's one of the men I can't put my finger on and say, look, this is wrong. If he did this, it'd make more of an impact. Because there's just something, it just doesn't click with me, and I don't know why.
Hopefully, we find out what it is over time. Maybe, you know what? I don't want to not want it to click for him. I want to see more of what he was in Defiant in this platform, but I just don't see it happening like you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're going to push him to the point where the takeover worthy gimmick pays off and he finally gets a match at takeover against who I wouldn't be able to tell you right now, but it's like, I think after that it's just let him go.
Yeah. On the other end of that, A-Kid, I don't know if he, because I've heard a little bit of it on the Omnibus. I feel like he doesn't set your world on fire, especially in a world of Finn Balor's and Jordan Devlin's. He's kind of just, God, I hate to say this because the kid's got talent, but he just comes off as a Kmart version of Jordan Devlin. Fair to say?
I mean, it's difficult because I'm mostly impressed with A-Kid. It's obviously his whole style is like the flippy shit and that, but the other side that people don't really see much of him is like the technical wrestler. His match with Jack Stars, like a few weeks ago, might have been last month, it was very, very good. There was no flippy shit in it. It was all technically based, and I loved that match. I don't know whether you saw that or remember it, but it was just very, very good. And who thought we'd say, like, oh, he had a good match with a jobber? But he really did. And so I think when A-Kid focuses more on the technical aspect rather than, oh, let's just fly everywhere for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
then he's much, much better. And it makes him stand out more, than a Jordan Devlin.
I kind of feel like he's a case of when you watch him work and he does the flippy stuff, quote, that he's trying to be something he's not. I feel like his heart, like you said, is in that ground game and he shines more. And I did see that match and I was blown away by how good that actually fucking was. And I had to blink my eyes and rub and be like, am I watching the right guys? No, I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know what Jack Stars is capable of on the indies in like his true form, but in NXT UK, he's just been cannon fodder. Let's say it.
Oh, yeah. He's been one of the names that they brought in just to, job him to bigger guys.
But that's 60% of this roster. We just said that. So,
That is true.
Guys that are so much better in a progress and stuff, it is what it is.
This match, saying that, Travis, this match was very good.
I really enjoyed the slow brewed building pace to this. It kind of boiled to a climax. And I loved how the finish, it was treated like a finish. God forbid.
Yeah.
He got the don't look down and boom, that was it. And he nailed it flush and it looked great.
It did. It looked very good. And I have to say, obviously, 36-minute episode, 2 matches on the whole show, but this was given a surprisingly decent amount of time for a television match. And I think that just aided it in, growing. And I'd have put this on main event instead of Mastiff and Ono.
Right. It's a good spot for those guys to be in because on the other end of it, people usually don't watch these shows, these matches that were taped before an NXT takeover NXT UK because the people just look at them as filler shows. But when you do get a chance to actually watch these, guys like this who don't get a chance otherwise get this time to shine like this, and this was a perfect case of that. And I'm with you. I felt like this should have main evented the show, especially where. And I know it was not total spoilers, but I know there's bigger plans with Mastiff coming up than there is for Connors. But still,
Yeah.
you got nothing to lose on this episode at all. There's no reason you couldn't have shuffled the deck anymore,
Exactly. And I will say maybe the occasion, obviously, it took place before TakeOver, was recorded, and the crowd were hot because this was the first thing we saw all night. So maybe the occasion helped it be better than it might have been on a normal taping. But do go out your way to watch this match because Joseph Connors really shines in this.
You could tell it was the first match too, because as soon as that bell rang for the guys to tie up, you started clapping your hands and you guys were into it.
Yeah.
And for a Joseph Connors match, that speaks volumes.
True.
I'm right there with you. I mean, if I would say go out of your way. I think this might change your philosophy on what you think Joseph Connors is as a worker in a way. It's just like we said, it's just not all his fault. He's presented just kind of as just mediocre.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously fault on both sides, but do watch the match. Yeah, recommended.
Yeah. With these kind of shows, that takes us to a lot of recaps and a lot of fillers and a lot of backstage vignettes. And for the most part, I mean, they weren't bad at all. A lot of it was post-match stuff, like with Gallus and stuff like that. So a lot of intense, especially with Tony Storm, that was a very emotional. Was this the Tony Storm segment, actually?
No, this was Trent Seven after a match.
The pull
trying
apart.
to get to Eddie Dennis, but being pulled apart. That obviously is not giving spoilers. That is going to pay off down the line when we reach York.
I like this too. This was the other thing I didn't like is, I don't know if you noticed at the very end of it, one little referee was enough to like literally push Trent Seven halfway across the little hallway.
Maybe they were banking on the fact that you were buying into the injury that he suffered. So
True. Yeah.
Maybe it was like, oh, everyone thinks he's concussed anyway, so the referee will be enough to manhandle him.
Yeah. Where did that take us to next, man?
That took us to a special look at the ladder match and a short interview with Gallus. Mark Coffey said it's still their kingdom, and Wolfgang says it doesn't get sweeter than this. I will stop there though, Travis, and say like people can obviously see, from what I've said on the omnibuses in past weeks as well, that the interviews and the talky bits are getting less and less and less during these shows.
Yeah.
You know, they could have quite easily have filled the extra 20 minutes of this episode with talking, and gave us an hour episode, but they didn't. So I think, very well done for cutting back on all this bollocks.
I'm right with you. And all these post-match ones from last week, they were short, simple, and to the point, and they needed what they needed to be. They were. Yeah.
And next we got to look at the rivalry between Ginny and Jazzy Gabbert.
Ugh.
And then that took us to, Do you want to add to that before we carry on?
I think for what you've been saying on the omnibuses, and everyone's probably pretty much in agreement with our sentiment, it's too soon to split them up. End of the day.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see more. Yeah, we're trying to give a spoiler-free.
Yeah, it's hard to do. We're trying. We're doing it.
It is. We know what's coming in the next few weeks, but we are going to see more of the Ginny and Jazzy Gabbert breakup / dissension. Just don't. Yeah, if you're a listener who has bought into this storyline, I don't know why you would, but if you have bought into it, then I would say don't get your hopes up.
How about we do this? Since we love all of you, our dedicated listeners, for 3 years, we'll do this. Just don't hold your breath that it's going to have a great payoff. We'll just say that for you. Just probably get hyped for something else.
Yeah, there you go. I can't say better than that. Next up, we had a special look at the women's three-way. Couldn't have put that better, couldn't I?
Woof.
The women's triple threat match. And then a interview with Tony Storm afterwards. She didn't really say much, Travis. She said that rules were meant to be broken, but not for her, and that it makes things a lot worse for Rhea Ripley because she will rob her like she was robbed tonight.
Yeah.
I know. Before I get your take on this, it's just I liked how Tony Storm looked upset and fragile. It's like her mentality and her mental state is slowly breaking. I like how that's been portrayed, but obviously from what we've, from the spoilers we know, it's like, again, don't get your hopes up on a massive payoff.
Yeah. When I watched the recap of the three-way, I was reminded, what I kind of forgotten, it's probably the best we've seen of just why Tony Storm has been billed as so special. In that three-way match, she kind of showed all layers of what she can do. She was great with the mannerisms and the expressions of being just distraught and upset after the match. That was great. Just the end ring was what it was. It was top notch. Finally, she delivered. And it only took her a year or so, but she delivered in one of these big stages.
It took her, do you know what? It took her exactly a year to deliver on the big stage.
There you go. I think that's the synopsis too for most people. This Blackpool was not only better than the first Blackpool takeover, but it's the best one they've ever done. Fair to say.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like Blackpool one was what it was. It was history making. Cardiff bettered Blackpool one. Blackpool two bettered Cardiff. So I think we're just getting better and better.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Was it the Sid Scala announcement they kind of just shoehorned in?
First up, it was the look at Walter versus Joe Coffey,
Okay.
and then the Undisputed Era attack, but that didn't lead into a interview. So next up, it was Scala and Joe Coffey. Do you know why I said that? Because I've got JC written down, and it should be JS. So
What if it was
yeah,
just Sid and Joe Coffey in a suit for no reason?
just Joe Coffey stood behind like a bouncer, like announce it then. Fucking
This
get it done.
this announcement was both interesting and baffling to me at the same time because yeah, it's cool to see like UK guys in the cruiserweight title picture and stuff, but Jordan Devlin, like, is that a demotion for what he's kind of been doing?
Yes.
Let's say
It
it.
is a massive demotion. It's the equivalent of calling him up to the main roster but putting him on 205 Live.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, guys. I know they're out there somewhere. There's got to be a diehard fan of the cruiserweight division in 205 Live, and yes, those matches are great. I feel like Angel Garza is great. I can't take my eyes off that guy, but yeah, it's a demotion. It's a fucking goddamn flat out demotion. He just had a serious classic match with Tyler Bate the other day. He finally got that stamp, and to just do this immediately, it's just baffling to me. There's so many other guys they could have put in this position they have just doing nothing than Jordan Devlin.
Especially when in the next few weeks, like he's not gonna get the request, but he's still gonna be lobbying to fight Walter for the newly crowned, we should say, Travis, NXT UK Championship at last.
Yes, finally redesigned and rechristened and all that stuff. I mean, not serious tweaks, just really in the middle of it. Maybe the shape's a little different, but really, at the blink of an eye, you wouldn't even know, you know?
No, and people will see that on next week's NXT UK episode. They will reveal the new title and present it to Walter on the next episode. So
back to the Jordan Devlin thing real quick, though. He's not the only guy suffering for this because he's in this now. A guy like Ligero, who's supposed to have been this big deal since day one, who they done jack shit with, again, is just going to be served up to. I don't feel like he's winning at all against Devlin. That's his opponent to qualify.
Yeah, well, without giving any spoilers, we know who's qualified and who's going through. I mean, should we spoil it for people?
Do it. I'm sick of teasing them. Do it.
Okay, so Jordan Devlin and Travis Banks both qualify for Worlds Collide for the Cruiserweight Championship. And yeah, Ligero does get somewhat shafted, which is a shame because I feel like putting Ligero in this and saving Jordan Devlin for something would have been a better decision rather than just shoehorning him into a match that he doesn't really belong in.
I feel like the internet should give out podcast like type Emmy awards because I deserve one for that little pretending I didn't know. And blah blah blah. That's what I feel like. But yeah, it is what it is. You knew who was getting, and also on the other end, Brian Kendrick was the opponent for what's his face, right?
Travis Banks.
Yeah. Gee, I wonder who was going to win that.
And we should say Travis Banks' first serious victory in NXT UK in Christ knows how long.
Yeah. You know what else too? Something they still have never done that I feel like every time we reviewed an NXT UK show, we were like, yeah, they're going to do it probably soon. They still haven't turned Sid Scala heel.
No, do you know what? He's growing on me, but I really wish they'd just turn him and get Johnny Saint out because it's the majority Sid Scala now. You know, when an announcement's made, it's Sid Scala who comes out and does it. Johnny Saint earns his money by saying maybe 3 lines every 2 months, and that's his job.
And he literally comes out and waves to people and smiles.
That's it. And you know what? He's well into his 70s now, and he can still wrestle. So while he can actually still do it, why not give us Johnny Saint versus Sid Scala for control of NXT UK?
Why not? Fuck it. I want to see that now. The way you build it up is enough for me. Was it main event time on this week's episode?
It was. Main event, Dave Mastiff versus Cassie Sono, who looks like a bin bag full of jelly.
The immovable object versus the 8-layer cake going at it here in the main. I got to tell you, this is what I didn't like right off of the bat. Dave Mastiff, his biggest detriment in this company to either be any kind of a deal, I feel like, fair to say, is his height. He's just in that company, right? For what he's supposed to be billed as, this Vader monster type guy, he's a very short man. So putting him in there with a guy who dwarfed Dave Mastiff and Cassius Ohno in this was baffling to me. If you're trying to get this guy over as a monster, especially booking him what you're booking him into, why couldn't this have been any other guy? Why couldn't you? I don't know, man. I would have flipped the matches this week. Honestly, I would have had Cassius Ohno and A-Kid, and I would have had Dave Mastiff and Joseph Connors. And Mastiff would have gone over Connors, by the way, in my world.
Yes, I hope so. I mean, you could have done that, but then you could have given Dave Mastiff anyone else other than Cassius Ohno.
True.
You know, there were a lot of people who you could have put Dave Mastiff against and then give him, arguably a better match than this.
You guys did not respond well to Ohno during his entrance, but I feel like during the course of the match, he kind of had you guys in there giving a shit.
Yeah. Do you know what? This was baffling because obviously when you see Cassius Ohno on NXT UK television, like his matches against Tyler Bate was very good. His match against A-Kid was very good. He has consistently good matches, Cassius Ohno, but this just didn't click.
Is it finally time for you to talk about a guy's appearance and what it does for the character?
I mean, possibly. But,
I think that's what it is with Ohno, and I hate to be that superficial, but I feel like what it is. With the Joseph Connors, we're like, oh, I don't know. With Ohno, it's like it's sure as shit. It's hard to take him serious because he is a great worker still for his shape, but the visual is so pathetic at this point.
Yeah, it's just like this broken down man who is. He looks like he's had a midlife crisis, and his wife's left him, and he's just given up on the world, but he's still good at wrestling. So, he has pizza and a burger, and eats a couple more takeaways, and then he gets in the ring, and it's just, I don't know. I guess it's pathetic. Like, he looks the way he does, and he's never bothered to lose weight, because let's be honest, he's paid to look good and to wrestle well. He's paid
to work out 24 hours a day. That's what they're due.
Yeah, and he doesn't. The only thing he works out is his credit card when he's ordering, I don't know, KFC or whatever. But
Jesus.
He looks like a big bag of jelly.
I didn't mean for it to turn into a roast. I was just analyzing.
I don't want to body shame him or roast him or whatever, but he just. Oh, God.
I'm pretty sure he can still kick my ass at the end of the day, so it's all right either way for me.
He can kick both of our asses, but in reality, he doesn't look like he puts any effort into his appearance, and I'm not sure whether that hinders him or makes him look like an even bigger heel. Just like, I don't give a fuck what you think of me. I'm still better than you.
What's so weird about him? What's so weird about Chris Hero, Cassius Ohno, whatever you want to call him as a performer? There's something about him though. When the bell rings, he totally turns into a completely different person. And dare I say, in matches where he's paired up with the right guy or makes sense, it's hard to take your eyes off of him at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the match against Tyler Bate. Like, that was 24 minutes. And, I mean, people will obviously turn around and say, oh, well, that was because it was Tyler Bate. It was a Tyler Bate match, But at the same time, it's like, Tyler Bate can't have a match on his own. Cassius Ohno was absolutely brilliant during that match.
Right. No, he can definitely go. He really can. And I can see why they want to keep him around as kind of a trainer after his in-ring's over, for sure.
Yeah, me too.
A lot of people credit him as the kind of helping season Cesaro to what he is, because Cesaro was just this young guy in like Chikara and stuff when he first started. Then he came along and met Chris Hero, and they teamed up for years, and he kind of sat under the learning tree of Chris Hero. So credit to him. But look at Cesaro now, Jesus Christ.
I think that if you're going to have Cassius Ohno as a full-time trainer, he does need to get into some sort of shape. And obviously, we don't want to body shame him, Travis, but he's not the best example to up-and-coming wrestlers.
Well, it worked for Albert and Dusty Rhodes, so I mean...
Look at Albert and then look at Cassius Ohno body. Albert looks like he's thick with muscle.
Yeah. Cassius Ohno looks like his legs are Christmas hams.
Exactly.
The nice glaze. Hope everyone had a good holidays once again. That reminded me of it in a disgusting way. This match really did nothing for me. I mean, yeah, I guess it got going a little bit. I don't know if it was the pacing to this, that these guys just didn't have that great of chemistry, or maybe it was that aesthetic again of just how Mastiff was just kind of canceled out by being in there with a guy bigger than him. I don't know. I just did not like this match, Matt. I mean, there was some good spots in there. There was. I'm not saying there wasn't. It's great to see Ohno do nip-ups and shit. And Mastiff is just like a Keith Lee. He does stuff a guy his size shouldn't do. But I don't know if you're with me or you really liked it, but I wouldn't recommend this one.
No, I mean, it wasn't Cassius Ohno's finest hour. I think Dave Mastiff was obviously just there to fill a spot. I don't know, there was something about it that felt odd. Whether it was because we were waiting for TakeOver. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
This was in the 9.5 minutes before TakeOver, and it was just like, yeah, okay, another match. We know we've got to sit through 2 TV matches, but at the same time, it's like,
get on.
Something more than this.
Yeah, get on with the shit. Come on, take it home.
Yeah, that's it.
It's weird, too, because... Well, by the end of this, I felt like you guys were a little more into it than I thought you would be, but I think it's totally a case of there's no reason. If this match was any match besides the second match of this night, it would have got no reaction, you know?
Yeah, I think we were into it more because we knew, as you know, the more the match went on, the closer it got to TakeOver coming on.
Yeah. And I don't feel like you guys were that invested in Mastiff either during his... Like, there was a little bit of reaction for him, but not a big, you know... And there's never really been that for him in his entire run in NXT UK. Not this overwhelming, just... He's never gotten a huge pop, I feel like.
I think they killed him when they let Jordan Devlin pin him. I think it was the wrong move to have him beat that... I'm not going to say that soon, because obviously, you know, he'd been undefeated since October 2018. But when Jordan Devlin pinned him, it was just like, oh, okay, that's the hype done then.
Right.
You know, I know Joe Coffey beat him in Cardiff, but that was last man standing. So, you know, he didn't really take a clean loss. But for his first clean loss, obviously, you know, we think the world of Jordan Devlin. But for his first clean loss to be against a man that small...
Yeah. Especially, like you said, when you just had all these wars with Eddie Dennis's and blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. I think it hurt his image. His first clean loss should have been to Walter. No spoilers, but we're going to get a lot of that in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
I just think the booking hurt him, and now nobody really cares about Dave Mastiff.
It's kind of like Braun Strowman in a way. NXT UK's Braun Strowman is Dave Mastiff.
Yeah, but
way better in ring. Yeah. I feel like if you didn't have a chance to go out of your way and watch the entire TakeOver 2 show, which shame on you, my God, go do it right after you listen to this if you haven't. This was a great way, Matt, to catch up on everything that went down with the post promos and stuff like that. And the in-ring wasn't awful by any means, and the opener surprised you, really. I feel like, yeah, go out of your way, catch this one. Even if you caught TakeOver, it was good to see some of the stuff you might have forgotten. I did. Some of the spots in the ladder match I'd forgotten, they caught me up on. It was great to go back to that night, that magical night in Blackpool, man.
Yes, and you will be able to relive that magical night in Blackpool, Travis, when the vlog, becomes available, hopefully by the time you listen to this.
I feel like this entire week on the channel has been one week-long Blackpool omnibus. This is just one more of the stops on the road. There's one more left, like Matt said, coming up. His journey, Maniac Matt's vlog. Matt, what do you rate this episode of NXT UK?
I mean, I'll give it a B-, but that's only because the first match was quite good and got so much time. Had it been a 5-minute squash, this would have been C-.
Yeah. I'm exactly right there with you. Same grades and same logic. Yep. Man, it was good to be back doing this the way it needs to be.
Yes, but you know what? It's so cathartic not to have to talk to myself anymore.
I was waiting on it. I'm surprised you didn't drop that in the top of the show. Thank God I don't have to talk to myself for 2.5 hours anymore. Well, my friend, once again, I'm glad I talked to you for the past hour or so, 45, whatever we've gone. Until then, the next time I talk to you and the listeners hear from you, where can everyone catch you?
You can catch me on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. You can find our official merchandise on our online store, unionsmack.bigcartel.com. You'll be able to buy my second book, NXT UK Year 1, in the next few months. And I think that's about it, Travis.
Cheerio, my friend. I will see you next time we do this. So happy to be doing it again the way it should be, like I said. And that's not it. You can catch us now, the official podcast network on ProWrestlingJournal.com. Get over there. All the fantastic writers. If it happened in a ring, Matt, they're your thing. Catch me on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD. By all means, if you're watching this on YouTube, my channel, Hibiki TMD, make sure you hit that little red button right down below, or Cash and Sona is going to come over and raid your fridge. Until next week, this is Union Smack. Cheerio, mates.